Let's go ahead and get started today. If y'all would stand with me. Ron Carter, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge on the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ryan, will you pray for us, please?
Holy God, we come today, give you thanks for all who are here, and we pray that you would be with us as an organization, be with us in our service, be with us as we strive to work for the betterment of this community. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
I don't see Nelson, so I guess it's Rotary verse 1.
R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary. R-O-T-A-R-Y is known on land and sea. From north to south, from east to west, he profits most who serves the best. R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary.
Well, happy Monday, and it's June. So we're getting to the end of our Rotary year, and I'm really excited. Again, yeah. I didn't have any birthdays or club anniversaries this week, unless anybody wants to confess. Because I know not everybody gives me all their information for DAC-DB. Johnny, you ready to do a report?
Okay. I want you to know our president-elect went on high yesterday at church and sat with me in the balcony. So, and he behaved himself. Yeah. Well, I don't have much to report today except secret agent CIA was dispatched to Ireland to get some highly sensitive information from a spy. They told him, said, now, the spy's name is Murphy, and you're just going to have to go to Dublin and walk the streets and ask for Murphy. And when you find him, you give him the secret password, and he will give you what you need to know. So he walked and he asked, he walked and he asked, he hadn't found him. He finally wound up a desolate road. There was a farmer working his field. He went up to him, he said, I'm looking for a man named Murphy. He said, well, now the town just over the hill has several Murphys in it. One of them's a butcher, one of them's a baker, and there are 3 widows named Murphy. And the guy thought, well, I know what my password is. He said, and my name's Murphy. And he said, I think I found him because my password, he said, he walked up to him and he said, the sun is shining, the grass is green, and the cows are ready to milk. He said, oh, you want Murphy the spy. He lives in the village over the other hill.
Okay, I show that we have 23 Rotarians here today, and Joseph with the Guard is with us. Thank you for coming, Joseph. I don't see any other guests unless I'm missing someone. Not today.
Oh,
okay. Brenda, do you have anything you'd like to say from service?
Well, you can update them on the yard stuff.
Okay. All right. Dwight, anything on Treasury?
No, I did send out statements, I guess on Friday for anyone that has an outstanding balance. So if you got one of those and disagree with the balance, just let me know.
Okay, great. Thank you. Our door greeter today was supposed to be Nelson. I guess he forgot. We're going to have to get him. Next week it's Micah Beard. I am happy to announce that the yard sale, I feel like, was a great success this year. I really want to thank everyone who donated items and came out and helped us. If my memory is correct, last year we raised about $1,200. This year, we raised $1,480.57. So just shy of $1,500. And we have a $500 grant from RI that we'll add to that. So we'll be able to make a nice donation to the Shoes for Kids, the Best Foot Forward program with that. So thank you all so much for coming out and helping with that. It was a chore, but we got it done. The community awards are now done. The committee met a couple weeks ago, and it actually went really smooth this year. It was great. Everybody voted. We only had one tie, and our two newest Rotarians volunteered to switch their votes, and so it made it really easy, really fast. So we got those community awards out there. They've all been notified, and don't ask me right now to recall who they all are because I can't. But I know that they've all been notified, and all but one have already responded that they will be in attendance at the award banquet that evening. So I'm very excited to see them all there that night. Don't forget that Help and Hope, we're going to start volunteering the first Wednesday night of every month at Help and Hope, starting in July. So not this week, but starting in July, we'll be at Help and Hope the first Wednesday night of the month. Also, we are still looking for service chairs for the next Rotary year that starts July 1st. Brenda's going to be the new program chair, and I will continue to keep up with it as well. But if you can get her some speakers for a month, please get with Brenda and let her know which month you would like to take. That's about it for today. We're kind of short today, so I'm going to go ahead and let Matt McDonald come up and introduce our speaker.
Our speaker today is Rusty Langle. He is the live operations manager for Pico Foods. I used to work with Rusty many years ago, and the numbers he'll share with you are outstanding compared to probably what they were back when I worked with him. His job is to basically all the chickens that are in that run through Pico here in Batesville. His job is to make sure that they are alive and well when they get to this plant down here. So, without further ado, Rusty Langle.
And once they get to the plant, they're not my responsibility. I want to thank y'all for allowing me to come and speak to you today. Go ahead and see if this will work.
I can just click it for you, sir.
Okay, that'll be fine. Go ahead and go to the next slide.
All right.
Like I said, my name is Rusty Langle. I'm Live Operations Manager at the Batesville Complex here. And I have been in Batesville for 18 years. I moved here in the fall of 2000 with Conrad Foods, and then went to work for Townsend, and I was with Townsend when they filed bankruptcy. And that was a horrible experience. I don't ever want to go through another bankruptcy. One thing about Batesville is, I don't know if all of y'all realize this, but within the last 8 or 9 years, both poultry facilities in the town have filed bankruptcy, and both of them since then have doubled in size and are doing quite well. So, like Matt said, my responsibility as a live operations manager is to get the chickens to the processing plant. I have responsibility for everything outside the processing plant, which includes a feed mill, a hatchery, and we have the live haul fleet, which we get chickens to the plant, and then we have contract growers that we deal with. Go to the next slide, please. A little bit about Pico is Pico is a privately owned company. They're based in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, as a corporate office. They've got most of their facilities are in Mississippi and Alabama. However, half of the chickens that they produce are in Arkansas. And you can see Gordo was the original complex that Pico had, and it's still in operation today. The most recent is the Corning and Pocahontas facilities, and those facilities had just been completed last year in 2016 and started production. And that was the first operation that Pico had built from the ground up. Typically, they purchase a facility. Go to the next slide. This is a little history on Pico Foods, and it was started by John Herman Hickman, and he started with just a few chickens, and he grew it. They actually, in '68, the Harris family and Hickman family got together, and they formed Pico Foods, which, if all of y'all didn't know, Pico stands for Poultry and Egg Company. But you can see as the years progressed, they kept acquiring operations, and then in 2011 purchased the Townsend facility here in Batesville. In the purchase, the feed mill, hatchery, and the processing plant facility was purchased, and then all the contract growers were maintained to supply chickens here. And then in 2016, the completion of the Pocahontas and Corning operations, and that was from the ground up. Okay, go to the next slide, please. With the expansion of Pico, exports and chicken sales have increased, and you can see the breakdown basically of where the chicken goes. We've got food service, and then retail sales, or industrial sales, retail, and export. Biggest exports that we have are dark meat and chicken feet. I don't know, the chicken feet are actually a pretty profitable part of the bird. Those all go to Asia, and you know, have you ever looked at one? There's not a lot to eat on them, and I have yet to figure out how they prepare those. One person did tell me though, when you get done eating them, you can use the toenail to pick your teeth.
Thanks for that information.
Yeah, I'm glad everybody's done eating. As part of this, we have the Gordo complex in Alabama produces all antibiotic-free chicken, and it goes 100% to Keystone Foods, which supplies McDonald's. Here in Batesville, we're doing about 1 million antibiotic-free chickens, and right now the majority of that is going to Tyson Foods. Tyson has made a move to go all antibiotic-free, and we had been selling, they can't produce enough, we've been selling to them. Pico Foods has no private label. All of our product is sold to retailers or other poultry companies. Our biggest customer is Buffalo Wild Wings, and we have the jumbo chickens, and they like the jumbo wings. So the birds that we grow are 9.5 pounds roughly, and we can get them there in about 63 days. Next slide. Most big poultry companies are fully integrated, which means we basically have control of everything from the egg all the way to through the processing plant. And we purchase our primary breeder chicks from a company, and we put those in a house, and we get them day old. We raise them till they're big enough to get eggs. We send the eggs to our hatchery. We hatch the eggs. We have a feed mill at New Ark, and we produce the feed for those chickens. And then we had contract breeder and broiler houses that will pick up the eggs on, and then broiler houses will pick up the chickens, and then they go back to the processing plant. And it's once they're processed, the product will go either to a retailer or Pico has two further processing plants. One is in Pocahontas plant, and the other is at Canton, Mississippi. And being further processed, it's some partially cooked or totally cooked products. In addition to the chicken meat that we sell, we send our other byproducts, which is the feathers and intestines and whatnot, goes to a rendering plant, and that's actually cooked down and goes back into animal feeds. Could be dog food, could be chicken food. The fat, poultry fat that they render off, we use that in our feeds. Okay, next slide. Just a little bit about the facilities we have here in Batesville. We have a hatchery which is located out here on White Drive next to the John Deere facility. We hatch 1,150,000 chicks a week out of that hatchery. Our feed mill is located at Newark, and we process about 12,000 tons a week of chicken feed. And that's about max on that feed mill. One thing about the feed mill is that 12,000 tons of feed requires about 250,000 bushels of corn a week. So we buy a lot of local corn. We buy all the local corn we can. And before they built the corning mill, we had purchased 100% of our corn locally. We didn't rail any corn in. We're having to rail some in now because corning has taken up some of the corn that we would have gotten. And then the corn supply the last couple of years has not been real good around here. The processing plant, currently we're processing 1,300,000 9.5 pound chickens a week. Ultimately, we'll go to 1,000,004 in 2018. The holdup on that is getting enough houses built and we're still working with Pocahontas to get them ramped up, and they'll be 1,000,003 whenever they get done. As far as employees, we currently have, go back. You see we're processing 1,300,000 a week currently. Our hatchery can only produce 1,150,000. So what we're doing is that 1,150,000 that we're producing here in Batesville is all antibiotic-free chickens, and then we're getting the other 225,000 from Pocahontas. When that facility was built, the hatchery was built bigger than they needed because we're going to need about 300,000 chickens a week from them. So we'll haul them down this way in our processing. The live operations side, we have about 150 full-time employees, and the processing plant has about 1,000 full-time employees. Next slide. This is just a picture of our Newark feed mill. I don't know if y'all have seen it. I didn't get any pictures of our local. I think everybody's seen the processing plant and the hatchery. I don't know if you've seen the feed mill. That's probably the second largest. It is the largest facility in Newark. But it's just outside of Newark, and if you're going towards Newport, the power plant, if you look to the left, you can see it right there before you get Newark. Okay. At full capacity, we're going to be at 1,400,000 head, 950,000 9.5 pound chickens, which is about 1,300,000 pounds of broiler meat a week. With this expansion, a little history, when Pico purchased this, Townsend was processing 1,000,000 8-pound chickens. When Pico came in, they wanted a 9+, so we had to drop down to 800,000 to have enough housing for those chickens. We've since built, but since then we've added on about 8.3 million square foot of housing to allow us to do the 1,000,004. And there's about 50 houses in this area still under construction. Of course, Pocahontas still has about 200 to go. On the contract producing side, we've got 140 broiler contracts, and that includes about 800 houses. And they're in nine counties around here. We go all the way from almost to El Paso, which is between Conway and Searcy or Beebe, and then we go as far north as Imbo is where we go, and then we've got houses at almost at the dam toward Norfolk Dam, some in Fulton County, and we've got some at the other side of Newport. So we're spread out pretty good. We've got 30 breeder contracts, which most of those are 2 or 4 houses. And they're the ones that produce the hatching eggs that we get our broilers from. And then we've got 15 breeder pullet contracts, and they get the day-old chicks from the primary breeders. And once they're 21 weeks, they're moved to the laying house and we get the eggs. Okay. A little bit on that's pretty much all I've got on the Batesville complex. I'm gonna give you a little bit about the Pocahontas expansion. This is a picture of the feed mill. This feed mill is a little larger than what we have at Newark. It's got bigger pellet mills, they can produce more feed. They don't have as much storage. We've got at Newark, we can store 3 million bushels of corn. They can store 2.1 million. But you can see capacity, they can make 17,400 ton in 5 days, and we can make about 12,000. You know, we use a lot of corn, a lot of soybean meal, a lot of limestone, meat and bone meal. There's a lot of ingredients that are involved. All of our feed mills have rail access. We'll get corn. Typically we'll get soybean meal. We typically don't get, you know, other ingredients on the rail. One thing about Pico, most poultry companies don't do this, but we feed a lot of grains other than corn. We probably fed 3 million bushel of milo last year and over 1 million bushel of wheat. So if it can price in, and we have a nutritionist that you know, he can formulate it in, and we can make it work. Of course, we got to get it cheaper than we get corn, or we'd rather have corn. But we will buy milo from local farmers. That they can make more selling it to us than taking it, say, to Augusta or to the river. You know, if we buy it from them and help them out, they're going to have to plant it. So maybe we'll get their corn next year. That's our plan. We got to have corn, and so, you know, we're going to try to work with local farmers and get corn. Okay. This is a aerial photo of the Pocahontas facility, and Pico purchased 200 acres. This is Highway 62 down here, that's between Pocahontas and Walnut Ridge. And if you drive down there, you'll see that it's a huge facility. We have on the front half of it, we have the hatchery and live offices, and the hatchery is a really nice state-of-the-art hatchery. It's single stage, where the one we have here is multi-stage. Multi-stage being we set eggs in a machine 2 times a week, and we've got 3 weeks incubation going on in that machine. They're big. They hold 120,000 eggs. So we've got, at this facility here, we've got eggs, well, all hatcheries, you've got eggs at any stage of incubation from day 1 to 21 days. When we put them in the incubator, 21 days later, we get chickens out of it. The back half of this is the processing plant, and then there's a rendering plant, and there's a water facility. In the processing plant, there is a cook plant, so it's, I think it's a par fry. I'm not real familiar with plant operations, so I couldn't tell you a whole lot about it other than they kill chickens. All right, next slide. The Pocahontas hatchery, 73,000 square feet. You know, just a little bit of the highlights. The weekly set, they can set 2,154,000 eggs a week. Currently, we're doing about 1,694,000. They're placing for 1,300,000 kill, which 1,370,000 chicks will ultimately be 1,300,000 at the plant, and then we're going to get 324,000 chicks from them. And the hatchery started operation in March of last year. Okay. A little bit about chickens. Everybody knows that chickens are bigger now than they were 20, 30 years ago. What have y'all heard? What's the reasoning behind why chickens are bigger? Anybody got any ideas? Have y'all heard steroids and hormones? Yeah. Well, actually, since the 1940s, there's no steroid or hormone that's been approved by the FDA to feed chickens. It's all been genetics and nutrition. And you can see in 1957, the average chick weighed 34 grams. And today, well, this is 2005, this is the most current information I can find, 44 grams. The feed quality vaccination program and veterinary care is a lot better now than it was in 1978. When I first started, I started in the poultry industry in 1989, and the company I worked for was growing a small bird for KFC. It was a 3.8 pound chicken at 42 days. OMP was growing a 3.8 pound chicken 2 or 3 years ago in about 34 days. So the growth rate is just really improved over the years, and that's through genetics and nutrition. And you can see what a chicken looks like now compared to what they did look like. And it's unreal when you go into the processing plant, the breast meat that's on these birds. Right now we're getting almost 30% breast meat yield off of a 9-pound broiler. So, but they've been bred up to have stronger legs, so that they'll hold up that body mass. One of the problems we have is genetics. With genetics is that chicken on this side has still got the same heart and lung as the other one. And so the cardiovascular system hasn't gotten a lot bigger. And it's difficult for these birds. If you stress them, it's hard on them. Okay. Just a few things I wrote down. There's never any hormones or never any steroids in chicken. One of the big things now is, and Purdue was the big promoter. They were one of the first ones to put on their marketing or on their packaging is steroid-free and hormone-free, and when in fact, nobody can use steroid hormones. So they just use that as a marketing ploy. And then Arkansas is currently the second largest poultry producer in the United States, with annual revenue of about $3 billion annually. That's one of the largest agricultural, in Arkansas, one of the largest agricultural commodities that there are. Next slide. Can you make any questions?
Who's the largest state?
Georgia.
What do y'all do with the roosters? I mean, do we eat, is that part of the,
We do not sex separate our chickens. The roosters, is that what you said?
right,
Yeah. As far as,
do you process roosters?
yeah, when the chicks hatch at our hatchery, there's about 50% male, 50% female, and they're all grown together. At 63 days, if you go into a chicken house, you'll have 12-pound roosters, and you'll have 7 or 8 pound hens, and you can see the difference. But we can run them through the processing plant.
Well, usually when you see those live trucks, it just looks like it's only hens on there, but I guess they're so young.
There's roosters mixed in there. Now we have roosters. We buy on our day-old breeder pullets. We buy pullets and roosters, and we raise them separately. And then when they get to the hen house, we put them together so we'll get the eggs from them.
Well, my second question is, with your home office being in the Nick Saban country, do they know you're an LSU fan?
They do. My boss is actually an Auburn fan. And it's kind of neat. I've been to 2 Alabama-Arkansas games in Tuscaloosa. And it's a neat environment. If you don't like Alabama, it's tough. Yes, sir.
2 questions. Typically, how many chicks do you take to a farmer for a house whenever you deliver them?
Okay. We place our birds on so many per square foot. The new houses we're building are 27,500 square feet, which is a 50 by 550 foot long house. And we'll put, currently we're putting 26,200 in them. So we're putting a chick per every 1.05 square feet.
Okay. Second question, what do you do with your hens when they get beyond laying?
Pico is actually a partner in a spent hen processing plant. We'll keep the hens, they have a life of about 65 weeks, and then they go to the processing plant. and that company sends trucks up. I don't know if you've seen the trucks around that got they're usually white crates that are stacked up on them. Those are the spin hen coops, and they haul them to Mississippi. I'm trying to think of the town they're in. But Southern Hen is the one that comes and gets them and takes them, processes them.
Did you have any flood issues at Pocahontas?
We had issues, but nothing flooded other than the roads we couldn't get in and out of. I started to put an aerial photo. I'm sure all y'all saw the pictures on Facebook and in the paper. The processing plant, the hatchery, and the truck shop were all located there on that one site, and water was within about 6 inches of getting into most of the facilities, but didn't. When the levee broke at Portia, the water started receding and kept water from getting in the plant. There were some other issues with the wastewater system and then having potable water for running the processing plant. They didn't process chickens up there for a week, and we actually processed 500,000 extra chickens down here, running extra. We ran a Saturday and helped that out. The good thing is it wasn't like an ice and snowstorm, which the folks from Mississippi and Alabama don't understand. They just, in the hills, they don't have any hills down there either. But it wasn't like an ice and snowstorm where it shut everything down. The roads were still open enough. It took us a lot longer to get around to the farms. We were able to continue to feed chickens, and we were able to get our live haul trucks in to haul some out to process. And then, of course, we produced a lot more feed at our mill. We ran 7 days a week, and the governor sent out a proclamation on state of emergency, which took away basically the DOT regulations that we have to follow as far as drivers' hours, and we were able to let our drivers run 7 days a week to keep chickens fed. So we did that for basically just 1 week, and then we went back to normal production. Yes, sir.
I've noticed that I can pull, say, 5 breasts out of a bag and cook them. And 3 of them will be really tender, and 2 of them will just be as tough as can be. They all cook the same way, Is there any magic that some of the breasts come out really tender and others don't?
Yeah, I don't know. There is an issue in these large breeds, primarily.
And these are big breasts.
Yeah, they're called woody breast. It's called woody breast. And actually, I've seen it where it looks like a piece of wood, and you can't break it. We actually cooked some down at the plant, and it's pretty nasty. And it could be an early onset of that, or later onset of that, I guess, that would make it tougher. Some people say it's faster growing. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. Bigger chickens are going to be a little tougher than the smaller chickens. Personally, when we buy chicken, I buy breast tenders because they're not going to, the consistency of those is not going to change much.
Is bird flu still a big issue?
It's always going to be a big issue. It's probably the biggest concern that we have in the poultry industry right now. Luckily, it's more of a cooler weather disease. The last 3 years, we had 3 years ago, we had that big outbreak in the Midwest. And then the next year, and we actually had one in Arkansas also, in turkeys. And then last year, there was only a couple in turkeys. And then this past year, there was about 12 breaks in the United States, but they were all in broiler laying hens. And why it's the first year it was all table egg hens and turkeys, and then it was turkeys, and then it's table egg, or broiler laying hens. Why it's localizing in certain breeds or certain chickens is something we don't understand. And the only way to keep it out is strict biosecurity, because it can be tracked in. And typically, the typical thought is migratory waterfowl flying over an area, or someone going somewhere where waterfowl have been, stepping in droppings, or getting feathers on them and carrying them to the house. That's why we don't restrict, or we don't tell our employees they can't duck hunt, but we have some restrictions on them, and we strongly discourage them from duck hunting, just because that'd be devastating to the industry. And if we got it here, it'd be bad for Arkansas. Yes, sir.
And being a live chicken man, what's your loss ratio from point to point? From
Typically about 4.5% is what we lose. We sell about 95.5% of the birds that we place. Most of your loss is going to occur in the first 7 days when they come from the hatchery, especially now that we're not able to use antibiotics in the hatchery. We have more of a challenge of the chicks developing problems from picking up infections, because when a baby chick's born, their navel could be not healed up all the way. And when you put them in a house on chicken litter or rice hulls or whatever, that infection can get into chickens, and that'll cause early mortality. And it can also manifest itself later into a bone infection that when they get big, the femoral head will actually break off and they'll have trouble with their legs. So we try to, really try to make sure we've got them healed up when we get them out. And things are getting a lot more difficult without antibiotics, but that's the way things are going, right or wrong. I've got an opinion on that, and it might be wrong because I'm a little biased, but I think a judicial use of antibiotics where we can treat sick birds is what we need to be doing. What most of the consumers want is no antibiotics ever, and that's just not one of our big fights right now with animal welfare. And that to me, no antibiotics ever is an animal welfare issue. Because if we got sick, we're going to take antibiotics. And, we're not just going to let somebody suffer without them. But if we were 100% antibiotic free and we have to treat a flock, it's ultimately going to get to where people are, is that an inferior product and people are not going to take it, or you have to sell it at a big loss, or, it's going to be a problem in the future. Right now, there's enough people that don't care if it's antibiotic free or not. And I will add one thing, the phrase antibiotic free means what everybody's interpreting that as no antibiotics at all. And in the past, up until we started our antibiotic free program, the FDA governs what we do in our chicken feed and water, and we have to have a set withdrawal period. And there's actually testing done at the processing plant on whether there's antibiotics residues in the meat. And we've never had one. So there are actually the meat. My opinion, the meat that's in the supermarkets is antibiotic free, whether the chicken got antibiotics when they were young or not. And the critical period we've got is from day 1 until about 21 days. Coccidiosis is a big disease of chickens, and it'll kill them. They'll get a Clostridium infection. It causes necrotic enteritis, and it'll kill them by the thousands if left unchecked. And if we had antibiotics usage in the first 21 days, you would stop a lot of that, and that would be plenty of time for the antibiotic to be out of the system by the time we process them. Most people process between 55 and 63 days, something like that.
I know there's not really a replacement for antibiotics, but is there anything that you use, or are they just on their own?
We're doing a lot of different things that we never have done before. There's a lot of probiotics and prebiotics. Essential oils are coming into big use now too. Organic acids are also some things that we can use. We just need to knock the edge off of the Clostridium, knock that load down, and it won't kill the chickens. And we're experimenting. We're using a lot of things that have been good, and it's a lot of products that we would never use in the past. Part of the reason we would never use them in the past is because they were expensive. and they still are, but versus losing chickens, we're gonna use them. Any other questions? Thank y'all.
Rusty, for you coming today, we're going to donate a book to the Independence County Library, and it's called The Greedy Python. And inside it says, this book is donated on behalf of Rusty Langle with Pico Foods for speaking to the Rotary Club of Batesville on June the 5th, 2017. So thank you very much for coming today. Okay, Dwight, do you have a joker draw?
Do you want to draw a ticket out right there? Okay. 865840.
You're right. Max?
I didn't buy.
Oh, 840, I
Wake up, Johnny.
Well, it wasn't where it was supposed to be.
He was just expecting Max to win.
No, I actually figured Ron had the ticket. But now I've learned how to get the winning ticket because you just buy after he does. Can I have more than one?
Just one.
Just one. Oh, the 8. Nope, keep on trucking.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything for the good of Rotary? Okay, if not, we'll end as we always do with a 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Number 1.
Is it the truth?
Number 2.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Number 3.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And number 4.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Y'all have a good week.